To advertise with us, donate sponsorships and suggestions, email us at trendafricatv@gmail.com or call us on 773-312-0318 or 773-756-6678. Remember to also follow and like us as Trend Africa TV on Facebook so you can always catch us live. On Instagram as Trend Africa TV 123 or subscribe to our YouTube channel as Trend Africa TV and click on the notification button to watch previous shows. You can also visit our website for your African news, entertainment, fashion and sports updates on www.trendafricaonline.net. Trend Africa TV, redefining.
Hello everyone, this is Empressmawu on Trend Africa TV. We have a special edition today. We are going to be talking to someone very special in the Ghanaian community. Someone you would want to know. Anyway, right now, before I introduce whoever it is, I would urge everyone to invite your friends and family. Share the feed. I am not Tracy Boachi. However, I have something important to share with you today. Share the feed. Invite your friends, family, loved ones, enemies, those who have husbands and have boyfriends and those who have wives and, all the 9 yards, When you see me whip out my wig and my eyelashes, there's trouble coming on. So,
Nana boy.
No. She rank on, you pay myself. Tangana boy, yeah. Cause you come, you dummy. Oh. You tie me up. You treat me up. You tie me up. You tie me up. You treat me up. You tie me up. Wagifi ya wenye ya Otamfu we Oka wonko Nankamiko Wagifi ya wenye ya Otamfu we Oka wonko Nankamiko Mr. Ninguda Send me your butenti Wutu twa me to down Send me your butenti mo Mizi wazang Micha wazang Doing a mere she run no, but I'm fitting in and whoa. Tell me don't come and meet your mouth. Me don't come and meet your mouth, yeah. Me don't come and meet your mouth, oh. Me don't come and meet your mouth, yeah. She run you pay myself. Thank Ghana boy, yeah. Cause you come, you dummy, oh. You tie me up. You treat me up. You tie me up. You tie me up. You treat me up. You tie me up. Wagifi ya wenye ya Otamfu we Oka wonku Nankamiko Wagifi ya wenye ya Otamfu we Oka wonku Nankamiko Mr. Ninguda Send me your butenti Wutu twa me to down Send me your butenti mo Missy wazang Micha wazang Doing a mere she run no but I'm fitting in and whoa. Tell me don't come and meet your mouth. Me don't come and meet your mouth, yeah. Me don't come and meet your mouth, oh. Me don't come and meet your mouth, yeah. She run you pay myself. Thank Ghana boy, yeah.
Trend Africa TV, redefining Africa.
hello everyone again. This is Empressmawu on Trend Africa TV. we are doing a special edition of our Trailblazer editions. Here with Mrs. Anita Conto Scott or Kate. Yes. So viewers, I am going to go ahead and give Miss Anita Scott the platform, and she's going to tell us who she is. Miss Anita, thanks for joining us on Trend Africa TV.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first and foremost, I am a resident of Illinois, Bolingbrook, right outside of Chicago. I am an attorney. I've been an attorney for over 22 years, and a mother of three. I have three boys. Very excited to see them growing up and getting stronger and stronger and turning into wonderful black men. So I am involved in the Black History Month Awareness Club, which is an organization that we started also about 20 years ago.
Thank you, Miss Scott. So, Miss Scott, what kind of law is it that you practice? Okay, now before we go there, can you tell us how long have you been in the United States?
Well, I was actually born in the United States. So I was born right outside of Boston, Worcester, Massachusetts. My parents sent me back home to Ghana when I was about 2. So I lived there for 3 years. And so the first language that I actually learned to speak efficiently was Tree. And then I returned back to the United States and grew up mostly in Chicago and in Bolingbrook.
Inti uti Tree.
Mete Tree pa.
Unti aibe.
Debbie mente.
Nyami biom na uti.
And one no. Tree in English.
Tree asanti asaben. Gana asaben na onim sa.
Oh, and so you mean shit and sapa.
Okay, that's Miss Scott. We are trying to great sense of humor of a lady. Also, we want to find out from Miss Scott. Why did you choose to go into law? I mean, being a child of African descent. Being a child of African descent, why did you choose to practice law? And what are some of the challenges you face? Pursuing this career?
I chose law because I always had an interest in how the government worked. When I was about probably in the 6th grade, so that would put me about 12, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. Once I started learning about the Constitution and the different branches of government, I found it so interesting. And I just always thought that people should have their legal rights. So I was always gravitated to civil rights and justice. And so that really piqued my interest in the law and just being able to uphold justice for people. So that piqued my interest, and then I decided that, I would become a lawyer. And it came with a lot of challenges. Being a minority on so many different levels. First immigrant to go to college and then law school, being a woman, being black, and also being young. When I went into law school, I hadn't quite even turned 21 at that point, and so I was one of the youngest persons there, and so that made it challenging as well. It's hard to be taken serious when people think you're just a kid. And the same happened when I started my practice. I was just on the verge of turning 25, so I guess I'm telling my age now. But so it's been a challenging road, and there's been a lot of barriers to have to break from having to overcome those things.
So how did your parents feel about you picking? I mean, African parents, they usually want you to be a lawyer, a doctor, a pilot. They just have some specific professions they want you to be. Your parents must be so happy you chose to become a lawyer.
Yeah, they're very happy. I mean, I was fortunate. I didn't have the type of fortunate or unfortunate, depends on how you look at it. I didn't have the parents that said, you must do this. They were more like, if you want to do something, you need to work hard. You need to study hard. You need to focus on your education, not get focused on boys. And that was the speech I got. Don't focus on boys, boys, boys. Focus on school. And so they understood that as long as I focused on my education, I would be able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. So being a lawyer, a doctor wasn't really pushed down on me. It was more something that I chose to do.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. So I want to find out from you, what kind of law is it you practice? And how can the Ghanaian community benefit from your profession?
Well, I do a lot of real estate, so people that are trying to buy or sell or even find themselves in an unfortunate situation as a foreclosure, I can represent them. Also, I do family law, which includes divorces, child support, even adoptions are under that umbrella, and custody. So anyone going through those things, that's certainly something that I'm able to assist with. And we do a lot of other things. I tell people the only two things I don't do, unfortunately for our Ghanaian community, is immigration, and I don't do bankruptcy. Everything else, is fair game in terms of what I can cover. I do have other associates that work with me as a law firm and other assistants as well. So we do cover a gamut of things, but our specialty is real estate and family law.
Okay. You practice family law. As a child, your parents sent you back to Ghana for the reasons why some African parents, bringing up a child in America is very challenging. And I'm sure your parents sent you back to Africa for you to learn some cultures, for you to, to maybe have that home training. What advice do you have for parents who are bringing their children here into the United States and might be facing problems in terms of the children, running into problems and creating problems for themselves? What advice do you have for those bringing their children into America and facing those kinds of problems? Do you think they should send them back home?
Well, every situation is different. When I first went to Ghana, it was really because I had lost my father. He went
Sorry
to visit.
to hear that.
Thank you. He went to visit and was unfortunately in a car accident.
Oh.
And so my mother and I were still here. And she had to go back, obviously, because she had lost her husband. And she took me with her. And she was young at the time. And with her trying to assess and get her life back together, she thought it was a good idea to leave me behind for my grandparents to help raise me, which I know it's very common for grandparents to step in and help raise children. My family was very blessed. I came from a very well-to-do family, and so my grandparents were very financially stable, and so it was a very good life. My grandfather actually spoiled me, so that was my very first experience of being spoiled. But later on in life, I did go back as a teenager and spent some time there, about 6 months, with my great-grand-uncle, who also spoiled me and was such a wonderful person in my life. I think that sometimes people think that the easiest solution, if they can't communicate with their children and they're having some issues with them in terms of behavioral issues, or just not getting along or not understanding or comprehending, that, well, let me just ship them back to Ghana and that will solve everything. I don't know if the dynamic is because they themselves grew up in Ghana and sometimes they have a view of how things are, or they think things are still the same as when they were growing up. And fortunately or unfortunately, as life progresses, things change all over the world. So things that weren't available when they were young as a parent are now available now. And things that I'm talking about are like drugs, obviously, prevalence of alcohol, and other social issues. So I think each thing is different. I don't think that a location or changing the location or environment is always the solution. I think there needs to be a lot of communication. Sometimes there needs to be counseling. As a Black or African American or African community, we don't really understand counseling, and we think that everybody is perfect and no one needs any help. And we also struggle with finding a communication and bond with our children. And I think that those are the tools that you have to have. Basically, sending your child away and not being in their lives, or they're being in your lives directly, is not really a solution, for a long-term solution, because they're going to grow up and you're going to have a cycle of things, a cycle of problems that never get dealt with appropriately and never get solved. And so you got to find a balance. I think it's a great idea for people to know where they came from, people to understand their culture, people to understand their language. For that reason, I took my son back home 3 years ago on an extended visit, and we were able to see the Mina Castle, the market, Kejetia, the Crab Mall, go back so he can see his grandparents' home and his grandmother's home and his great-grandparents' home. And he really appreciated that culture. And I think that is necessary. I think that even when children are brought from Ghana here, or vice versa, it's very important that they understand their culture and they're able to experience that culture. And that doesn't necessarily have to be tied to a behavioral issue.
Thank you. Viewers, Miss Anita Scott, she has a very long name, so I don't know which one to pronounce, but
Anita Scott.
So Miss Anita Scott has a lot of achievements, but I cannot tell you the achievements now until we take a little break, and we'll be right back. To advertise with us, donate sponsorships and suggestions, email us at trendafricatv@gmail.com or call us on 773-312-0318 or 773-756-6678. Remember to also follow and like us as Trend Africa TV on Facebook so you can always catch us live. On Instagram as Trend Africa TV 123 or subscribe to our YouTube channel as Trend Africa TV and click on the notification button to watch previous shows. You can also visit our website for your African news, entertainment, fashion and sports updates on www.trendafricaonline.net. Trend Hi everyone, welcome to Trend Africa TV. I'm Empressmawu on this special edition of Trailblazers. I am here with Mrs. or Miss. Are you Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs.
I am married. Don't let my husband get mad at me now.
I'm sorry. Mrs. Anita Scott. Mrs. Anita Scott has a lot of achievements. So I would let her talk about it herself. I hear she's got some, she's the recipient of the 2012 Bolingbrook Female Citizens and blah, 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 blah. It's a whole list that I cannot mention. So I would give her the platform to talk about her achievements.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm usually very shy about bragging about myself. But as she just mentioned, I did receive the 2012 Bolingbrook Female Citizen of the Year. So they just picked one person in the whole town. So that was it was actually a big surprise. I'm the former president of the Bolingbrook Rotary Club. I'm also a founder of the Black Bar Association, which is a group of African American lawyers, or founding member, I should say. I'm a co-founder of our Black History Month Awareness Club that we founded about 20 years ago in Bolingbrook. I have also received the DuPage NAACP Presidential Award, as well as the Audley Award from the DuPage NAACP, and some other accomplishments, so we can go on and on and on. However, I have been also admitted to the United States Supreme Court. That was a very exciting day.
Wow.
And one of the things that people know me locally for is I was crazy enough to build my own office building. So I built the Diamond Creek Professional Office Building. So my other hat that I wear, besides being an attorney and a mother and involved in social organizations, is being a landlord. So that's kind of a little bit about the things that I've been able to become involved in.
So, Mrs. Anita, when it comes to entrepreneurship, can you advise? Do you give advice in that area too? Because it looks like you are very, you know what you're about.
Well, I have given some advice. Obviously, I'm not a tax accountant, but anything that deals with contracts and law, I certainly have advised people, and just that good old, have faith in yourself, and go for it type advice as well.
Now, you did mention about the Black History Month Awareness Club, which you are also. Are you a founder or you are a co-founder? Or
I'm a co-founder. Bernard Winston and I founded the organization.
Okay.
And I hold the title as Executive Director and Treasurer.
Treasurer, of course.
Control the money, always.
So you have an event coming up on the August 28th. Can you tell us about that event and how important it is to you?
This is a very important event. Normally, as a Black History Month Awareness Club, as our name would kind of give away, we usually have events during Black History Month, which is in February. And so we usually put on an event in February every year. It has been at the Bolingbrook High School Auditorium the last probably decade. And it ranges anywhere from 600 to 700 people in attendance. Wow. But this year, with everything going on socially, George Floyd, Aubrey Maury, just a lot of the different things that are going on, we felt that it didn't make sense for us to sit on our hands and say, we'll have an event in February of 2021. We got together as a group, our board group, which consists of Janice Haywood, she's our vice president, Bernard Winston, our president, Terry Ransom, who is our program director. We all got together and said, we need to do something. And so as we were kind of scrambling, trying to decide what we can do to make a difference, to make our voice heard in Bolingbrook, and just to kind of uphold civil rights and justice and the diversity that our program was founded to promote in the first place, diversity in the community. We decided that we would do the August 28th March, basically in step lock with the March on Washington that's also happening. It's the 57th anniversary of the Civil Rights March. And so that's what this event is. We are marching to celebrate civil rights, to remind people that civil rights are still important, the importance of diversity, the importance of ending systematic racism, systemic racism. So that's what this event is all about. It's about unity, it's about diversity in the community, it's about promoting civil rights, it's about doing it in a peaceful way, and just reminding people that we have come a long way since 1963 and 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was enacted, but we still have a long way to go. And we thought this would be a great opportunity to put towards an event, even despite the COVID concerns. Obviously, the event is going to be social distancing. We're asking people to have masks. We'll have hand sanitizers available as well. So we're taking all the necessary precautions. But when we weighed what needed to be done against those risks, we thought it was time for us to take a stand.
Thank you, Mrs. Anita. Now, we would like to find out the Black History Month Awareness Club. Are there other branches?
No, not that we're aware. We started the branch here in Bolingbrook,
Okay.
and we all reside in Bolingbrook, so we've just kept it here. It would be wonderful if the concept was replicated in different towns and cities and states. But right now we're just in Bolingbrook, right outside Chicago.
So how can one get informed if they want to participate in this march? How can one get informed? And I know one way to also bring out Ghanaians is if you have food and drinks and free food. We love free food. If there's food, I will march. Because I know at the end of the march, I'm going to be eating. What are some side attractions?
Well, it's not a party, it's a march. So we will have a food truck. We're promising that you can purchase, not free, purchase some jerk chicken. We will have complimentary water. We don't want anyone to pass out from marching. We'll have vendor tables. One of our initiatives with the march is voter registration. So we'll have people doing voter registration. We'll have, obviously, people, I won't say obviously, but people doing census registration. And we're promoting Black-owned businesses. So we'll have tables with vendors for Black-owned businesses. So those will be the side attractions besides having a band that's going to be playing. And then we're streaming live to the march in D.C. So those that can't necessarily physically make the march, there'll be some activities for them to be involved in. We also have Daryl Van Leer. He is going to be performing a Martin Luther King speech, and he's a professional artist, and this is just one of the genres of things that he covers. So there'll be some entertainment.
Miss Anita, how far is the march? Where are we marching from?
We are marching from Village Hall in Bolingbrook, 375 West Briarcliff. And we're going to end up taking the Briarcliff to Route 53, to Boughton, and then ending right back up at the Village Hall where we're going to have the stage, vendors, and other tables that are set up, including the streaming.
Okay. So how can one get informed? How can we follow you? How can we join? How can we get informed on what's going on if one is interested?
Well, I hope everyone's interested. We do have our Facebook page at Black History Month Awareness. We do have a Twitter feed, BHM_awareness. And we have had some articles in the paper. But basically, show up on August 28th. We're kicking off at 10 a.m. The march is going to start at 11. And we're going to be ending and concluding the program at 4. We have wonderful speakers lined up. And again, we have entertainment. And we will have food for purchase. Some of the best jerk chicken you've had. So, yes.
You said the march is going to be ended at 4. What time is it starting?
Well, the whole program is going to end at 4.
Okay.
But the program is going to start at 10 o'clock in the morning. August 28th is a Friday, so I know people are not used to that. But again, it's the anniversary, so we prescribed that date.
Right.
So it'll start at 10 a.m. The actual march we project will start at 11 a.m. to about 1. We're giving people time to walk. So it may conclude a little bit earlier. It's just going to depend on how many people show up.
Okay. So are other races welcome to join the march? What if I was white? Would I show up and I'll be stoned to death, or what?
Absolutely.
Are other races welcome to the march?
Absolutely. You would not be stoned if you were white or whatever color you were. That's the whole idea of diversity in the community. It's also the whole underlining idea of civil rights. The Civil Rights Act, and I don't want to get all lawyerish, but the Civil Rights Act is about equality for all people.
Okay.
And the original march, which Martin Luther King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, is really what we're trying to honor, where people are judged by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. And so the original march had people of all races, all groups, all religions, and that's what we're hoping to accomplish. We want to see a sea of diversity. So no matter what your background is, come on out. We're representing all the communities, and even the Constitution is now, or the Civil Rights Act, I should say, have now been extended to protect the LGBTQ community, and we have speakers representing that community. So no matter what your background is, come on out. Civil rights is for everybody. I put a quote up where, it's quoted, where we say all Black lives matter, basically because we're still trying to figure out what all means. So everybody needs to come on out.
Okay, viewers, we are going to take a little break and we'll be right back. We need to pat our noses and drink some water. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Africa TV, redefining Africa.
Bad guys in the beat.
Are you looking for photography service for your upcoming event? Is it a wedding, an engagement, or a special event? Look no further. Jojo Texan Images is here. Hire him today for great quality pictures, a quality service provided on the day, and a great personality. Jojo Texan Images is on social media. Follow him Instagram and Facebook at Jojo Texan Images or call him 312-450-5235 and book your appointments today. Jojo Texan Images. Simply excellent. Book him now.
Trend Africa TV, redefining Africa.
Hello everyone and welcome again to the Trend Africa special edition this Saturday. I'm here with Mrs. Anita Scott, very brilliant lady. I mean brilliant Ghanaian woman and doing a lot in the community. Mrs. Anita Scott, you did mention about George Floyd, and George Floyd sparked things about, say, he I don't know the right word to use, but he stirred up the inequalities we as black people are facing in America or even in other countries. As a lawyer, I know you don't want to go there, but as a lawyer, do you think what the policemen, the judgment the policemen got, do you think it was a fair judgment?
Well, I know that it's still pending in court, so things are pending. I struggle with why it took so long for there to be some legal action. I really do, because the police are there to protect people, and from what I know, if a police see a crime being committed, they arrest you on the scene. So it was very interesting that there were other officers there on the scene witnessing, definitely if I call it a crime, but even if we gave them the benefit of doubt and thought it was a potential crime, I think that they should have been arrested or at least talking to some higher ups immediately. So, there's definitely some things that happened with that whole scene that I don't think was appropriate, and I think that was definitely the wake-up call. I can't breathe, we can't breathe, and it was just really a tragedy to see that happening live on TV through videos. It just struck a chord emotionally for so many people, brought tears. It's a huge tragedy. And it really shouldn't happen, not here in the United States of America or anywhere else. It just goes against everything that we have ever said we stood for as a country.
As a mother of black boys or black children, anytime your children walk out that door, what advice do you give them? And when you see them coming back home, do you sigh, what's the right word to use? Do you sigh a relief? Or, when they walk out that door, what do you tell them?
It's really hard. My oldest is going to be 17 next week. And it's hard because he's just at the point where he's getting his driver's license. And you think about what's going to happen when he's behind, the wheel. He's a very brilliant boy, so I don't worry about him in terms of his behavior or doing anything that he shouldn't be doing. But then you look and you think, what if somebody mistakes him as being a thug just because he's black, just because of the color of his skin, that they stereotype him, that he's treated awfully, or arrested or harassed or even shot by an officer. Being black while driving is real. And I've had the fortune of being a woman a black woman while driving is not as bad as being a black man while driving.
That's right.
So that always worries me. That always worries me. And it's sad because I know it wouldn't be based on his character. He's a wonderful character, but it would be based on the color of his skin and how he's treated, by an officer if he was just stopped for no reason. And I walk him through what he needs to do. Make sure they see your hands, be polite, don't argue, all of those things that would help de-escalate things. And it shouldn't be a situation where he should feel like he's begging for his life, or his life depends on what he says after being stopped, by an officer. So that those things are real. They're very real.
With the George Floyd video, at what point during the video, like me, I haven't been able to watch the whole video because it got to a point I just couldn't take it no more. I was like, I can't finish watching it. Were you able to finish watching the video?
Yeah.
And at what point were you cringing, like, oh my God?
I mean, just even from the beginning, because it seemed that the force was unnecessary. I mean, once someone's on the ground, what is the point and handcuffed at that? What is the point of putting your body weight on them? It's just, and they're on the, concrete ground, so just from the beginning. But then, as a lawyer, you say, well, wait a minute, maybe there's something else there. Let me see for myself what actually happened. And so you want to look at all the facts. So which leads you to want to watch the whole video to determine if there's any other way to view what happened. And when you watch the whole video, there's just no other way to view what happened. He was just straight up murdered.
So, what would you say about other races who are saying all lives matter? It's not only black lives that matter. What would you say to them? Because I did go to work during this George Floyd phase, and then one nurse walks up to me and was like, "Mausi, I don't understand. All lives matter. And besides, why are you guys crying for somebody who is not a role model, somebody who has been going to jail, somebody who, and I just couldn't answer her because I was at that point boiling up. So I just walked away from her. I was like, you know what? I can't talk about that right now. I'll talk to you later because you're really pissing me off right now. What would you say to those other races that are saying all lives matter? It's not only the black lives that matter.
I think it goes back to, and I hear the same thing too. I hear the same thing as well. And I think it just goes back to, like we said, we're trying to figure out what all means still. We have, the Constitution. We say all men are created equal. But what does all mean? What does all mean when black men are lynched? When people have been murdered because of the color of their skin? When we've said people can't go to schools and they've been segregated? What does that mean? How are all men created equal? What does all represent? Where are black men, black lives in that meaning of all? And that's the issue. We're still trying to define what does all mean, because all has not applied to black people. And so when we're saying all black lives matter, it's not to say all lives don't matter. It means that we as black people have not been included in that definition of all lives matter. And we're saying, include us. We belong in that definition. And once you are including us, then we can all hold hands and say all lives matter, because all human lives matter, regardless of what race you are, what religion you are, what sex you are, what gender you are. It all does matter. But we need to define as America, as the world, that black lives are included in all lives.
Wow. Viewers, you can see she's very passionate about this Black Lives Matter issue, and even with her talking, it's making me feel very emotional, because every time I think about my sons, I fear for their lives. How would we be living in a world where in a free world where your kids, every time they step out, they might not be coming back home. You know, she's very passionate about this issue. So we are going to take a little break to catch our breath, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Africa, hey mama Africa, the land of peace, gold and diamond. Welcome to Africa, hey mama Africa, dark and lovely, beautiful people. Hey, 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 don't mind what people say. I said, don't mind what people say.
To advertise with us, donate sponsorships and suggestions, email us at trendafricatv@gmail.com or call us on 773-312-0318 or 773-756-6678. Remember to also follow and like us as Trend Africa TV on Facebook so you can always catch us live. On Instagram as Trend Africa TV 123 or subscribe to our YouTube channel as Trend Africa TV and click on the notification button to watch previous shows. You can also visit our website for your African news, entertainment, fashion and sports updates on www.trendafricaonline.net. Trend Africa TV Radio.
Hello everyone again, this is Empressmawu on the Trend Africa show. We are here with Mrs. Anita Scott. I was going to say Scott Anita, but yeah, she's female, wonderful lady, very smart lady. So now I'm going to ask Miss Anita. I mean, as you can all see, or you could all hear, Miss Anita is very methodological when she answers her questions. So I'm wondering, how is it like to be married to you, Mrs. Anita?
Oh, any man would be so lucky. But seriously, you wear different hats. So when I'm not working, it's nice to take that hat off and just not be as methodological. So it's a normal life.
Okay.
At least I think so.
I hope your husband is not home rolling his eyes like, oh yeah, right. So during the pandemic, I mean, parents had to teach tutor their children and all that. Did you have to do that? Are you a strict teacher? And do you love teaching?
You know, ironically, I wanted to be a teacher before I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I realized I didn't have the patience. And so that holds true today. I don't have the patience. But yes, I just like lots of other moms, especially the two little ones. My oldest, he's just a genius already, so he teaches me. But the other two, I did have to do the remote learning, and it was a challenge.
It was
a challenge, yeah.
So are any of them planning to follow in your footsteps?
My oldest is. He
Oh.
wants to be a lawyer, and he's much farther than I was at his age. So I see that in his future.
Okay. Mrs. Anita, my last question to you. Does it look like, it looks like you're a good candidate to become a judge? Is anything cooking up like that?
Oh, you need to go talk to them. No, not anything in the near future. But also, ironically, that was one of my goals when I was younger. I did a research paper when I was in law school on black federal judges. We need more. We need more black federal judges. So who knows what the future holds. But no, nothing right now.
Okay, Miss Anita. Do you have any last remark for our viewers, anyone watching us right now? What would you like to say to them?
I just want to remind you, March on Bolingbrook, August 28th from 10 to 4. And if you can't attend, we understand this is going worldwide. We will be doing a live feed as well on YouTube, so you can stream and watch along from that way. But remember to vote 2020. We've been underrepresented in voting, so vote, vote, vote. and vote.
Yes, you heard Mrs. Anita. She said, vote, 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 and vote. And we're going to be marching. I hope I get my wide body. I wanted to say something, but I can't say it on air. So I hope to be there. I need to lose some pounds anyway. If not for the Black History, I need to just join them and just, anywhere there's going to be food, I'm going to be there. So I'm just going to go and enjoy myself. You want to come out there on August 28. Let's support Mrs. Anita and her colleagues. Viewers, this has been Trend Africa TV, and this is a special edition of the trailblazers in the African community. Keep watching Trend Africa TV. Please share the feed. If you have any business, small business or any large business you would like to advertise with us, please call us on 773-756-6678, or you can email us on trendafricatv@gmail.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to click that button and press on the notification button. Okay, you guys have a good day. Goodbye.
Trend Africa TV, redefining Africa.